So today we've got something very special and something I was really excited about seeing in the shops, which is this. We've got Nescafe Gold Almond Latte, a vegan Nescafe latte, which I'm very, very interested in trying out. So thank you for joining. First thing, I just made myself a cup, my wonderful magical cup, and it smells amazing. And this is what I made: Nescafe Gold Almond Latte. I picked this up in Tesco in a UK supermarket. It's definitely vegan. It says vegan. There are 6 of them in there, and also the packaging is biodegradable packaging, so there's no plastic or anything like that. So even those, feel very, very papery. And I really like their layout. I really like the whole kind of like green. You can straight away see this is something hopefully a little bit healthier. It looks fairly healthy as well. It's got 66 calories per portion if you don't add any kind of sugar, which I don't think it needs. It smells very sweet. 2.3 gram fat per mug, 1.8 gram saturated, so that's a little bit high. However, only 4.8 gram sugar and 0.17 gram of salt. So that looks all very, very promising and very good. Yeah, fairly easy. So you open up this pack, put the powder in a cup, put hot water on it, and you've got your drink. I didn't add anything. I didn't add. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of milk or or a little bit of like cold water or even like any additional sweetener. This seems very, very sweet, so I didn't add anything, and I want the true pure taste of this, so I didn't add any milk or anything like that. So this is how they look. I really like the design of this as well. It's got a really, really nice writing, and it looks like a really, really nice design. And ingredients, we've got almonds and oat, which is lovely, very easy, straightforward. You probably could do this yourself. I'm wondering where the coffee comes in though. It doesn't say anything else on the marker here. Yeah, there's a little bit more on there. So how much do you love coffee? I am obsessed with coffee. I really like coffee, and I'm probably going to be bouncing all night because I usually don't drink coffee that late. And I also started drinking barley coffee, which doesn't have any caffeine in it. So yeah, drinking coffee at 6 p.m. in the evening. Not sure if it's a good idea, but then I'm on furlough at the moment, so even I can sleep in if I stay up a little bit longer tonight. So yeah, I really, 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 really like coffee. And I'm really, really psyched about having an almond latte that I can make at home without having to go to a cafe near or any coffee shop. I'm not crazy, I just love coffee. So yeah, this has a few more ingredients. So it's got glucose syrup in it, it's got sugar in it, so you don't need to add sugar to this, I think. It's got fat-reduced almond powder in it and oat flour, which I think creates probably the latte kind of part of it. It's got rice protein in it, so let's have a look at the protein content of this, because that's always a very interesting fact in vegan food. Where do you get your protein? How much protein does it have? And this actually, 100 gram of the powder has 4.8 gram protein, and that comes from the lovely nuts and the oats that I nut. So yeah, I've got the almond version of it. There's also a coconut and an oat version of it. I only saw this one in the supermarket, so I got this one, and I'm gonna give this a taste test right now. I don't know if I can show you that cup properly. Let me taste it first, and then. So it looks like a cappuccino. Ooh, it's very nice. It's got a very, very mild coffee flavor. It's not as sweet as I first thought it was, so it could probably do with another drop of sweetener, or a bit of syrup. But I don't mind. It's really, really nice. Mm. So guys, have a look. I don't know if you can see this, but this is what it looks like when. So sorry for that if you couldn't see it, but hopefully you could get a little bit of a glimpse, a glimpse of the inside of my cup. Um, yeah, it was a little bit. There was a little bit of foam on top, when I first put the hot water in, so it was a little bit creamy and foamy. That has completely disappeared, so now it looks like a standard cup of milky coffee. Um, and it pretty much tastes like a standard cup of milky coffee. So usually when you get those kind of like packages in like cappuccino flavor or mocha or macchiato or all the kind of like weird flavors that they have, they are very, they're way sweeter from what I can remember. So this is definitely not as sweet. But then looking at our health facts here, it also seems to be a healthier version of a ready-made latte. So yeah, all in all, it's quite nice. It's not a barista comparable coffee, but I do like it. I do like it. And no, it's not because I like all coffee. And there's bad coffees out there. But no, it's good. It's definitely a step forward. This at the moment has a retail price of £2.50. You get 6 cups for £2.50. I think that's fair enough. It's good enough coffee. It doesn't say what kind of, it just says roast and ground coffee. It doesn't say if it's like an Arabica or any kind of like special fancy coffee. So it doesn't seem to be like any kind of like, yeah, special fancy coffee. But it it's a good alternative for 6 cups. In the end, you pay like £2.50 already for like a large cappuccino somewhere in a coffee shop, especially if it's somewhere in Brighton. So yeah. What's the best coffee you've ever had? Um, I'm a well-traveled girl, and a few years ago, actually quite a few years ago, about 5 years ago, I went to Marrakesh in Morocco. Yeah, Morocco is the country, Marrakesh is the city. Like I had to kind of like think of that. Yeah, so I went to Marrakesh, which is, if you ever get the chance, it's definitely a very, very different world, especially when you come from like the eastern region of Europe. So it's in the north of Africa, Marrakesh in Morocco. It's a fascinating country, and I had coffee for breakfast. So I said, they asked, do you want tea or coffee for breakfast? I said coffee for breakfast. So they get you your coffee in a cafetiere, which is basically this little device where you have like ground coffee bits and hot water, and then you press it down and put your coffee in your cup. So it's like a freshly pressed little coffee maker on your table. And I have no idea what kind of coffee it was. It was definitely a local coffee from Marrakesh. It was super strong. And when I poured it into my cup, it was very gloopy. So it was very thick and dark. But boy, it was good coffee. It was really, really good coffee. It needed quite a lot of sugar, which is probably not great. So I put quite a bit of sugar in it because it was very, very strong. So it was very intense. But it kept me going definitely all day, probably for weeks after as well. Yeah, best coffee I've ever had was Moroccan coffee from Marrakesh.